Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to ORL here, the online racing league with me, George Morgan. I'm glad to say that the birthday boy, well, no longer the birthday boy, but he's 21 now. Jack Canan, you're back in the com box with me. Welcome back, Jack.
Well, that's about the most I got out of a birthday since I came in. Yeah, great to be back. It's lashing rain in Canada at the moment. Unfortunately, I cannot see it as my game has just crashed. So, George, if you give me a moment, I'll be right back with you.
Not a problem. Folks, I got to say, while Jack is just sorting himself out, folks, a lot to cover here today. Of course, we're here in Canada for the first time, obviously, this season. Naturally, Jan Watmere looking for redemption after what happened last season with him and Arsene Cardinov. Obviously, there was that big, horrendous crash going through the Wall of Champions, which really did cripple the Dutchman and could not clinch that victory he was searching for. And who got it? It was Shanaka Clay who got the victory last year. So Jan Watmere in with a chance once again, but he's not on his own. Danny Moreno is back. So is the likes of Sven Zerner back in the scene. We've also got Yifan Yuan from the Chinese F1 eSports. He's coming to join the big boys from the English or the European side of things. We're looking forward to seeing how he fares against this lot. Certainly a very interesting character nonetheless, as we now watch some of the cars go through the laps. But before we start, folks, check out this hot preview video. "14 corners.
He'll have no DRS because he's 5.6 seconds away from
Capacity of over 100,000 people.
But looking further back, Kevin going toe-to-toe with Zone.
The Virage Senna.
Now in lap 2 of 35. Long way to go, folks.
The Pont de la Concorde.
But he's not done yet as they make their way around the pont. And
The Epingle Hairpin. The Virage de Casino.
back in the grid without setting a lap time, which is really interesting.
The Wall of Champions.
Way down to the Wall of Champions now. And the Renault bombing down around the...
This is the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, home of the Montreal and the Canadian Grand Prix.
And his pedal to the metal. Go, 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 go.
Shanaka Clay would take victory
Famous wins the Canadian Grand Prix. And
after a very convincing start by Shanaka Clay. Jan Watmere, the favourite, who obviously won the championship that year, came a cropper after colliding with Arsene Cardinov in his Alfa Romeo. It was an absolute phenomenal race. No end of entertainment. This Sunday night at 8 PM, we will commence our trip to Canada for this season's Canadian Grand Prix here at ORL, and we're looking forward to bringing it to you. Be sure to be with us, ready for the off. Yes, welcome back, folks, here at Canada. We are here live at a very wet Montreal street circuit indeed, as Sven Zerner has taken top spot early on, a 120.793 to get us underway. Danny Moreno in P2 with a 121.202. Ben Zabo there with a 121.271 as the times filter in for the early show. And of course, lots left to grasp because we've got tricky wet conditions here at Canada, folks. So naturally, we're going to be seeing a lot of the quicker lap times towards the end of this Grand Prix. One of the interesting ones that we are looking forward to seeing, though, alongside Jan Watmere, is his teammate Yifan Yuan, of course, from the Chinese version of F1 eSports. He is here with us here today, contesting, like we said before, with the likes of the big boys, as Jan Watmere takes top spot, closely followed by Sven Zerner with a 120.305. A great start there by the German Sven Zerner. Jan Watmere, though, an early showing of a 120.337. These wet conditions, folks, certainly providing lots of question marks around the driver's capability along a wet track as Zones takes P3. Danny Moreno, out of nowhere, the Spaniard, necking it last minute there, here in the, well, within 12 minutes, 120.280. That's a fast lap time indeed. Tackling the top end ahead of Sven Zerner and Jan Watmere. What a time. Tomek Pratic also joining the party there with a 120.404. This has been a very positive early showing here despite the wet conditions, folks. You've got all the top end drivers at the very top, which is phenomenal to see. Veloce Hayes as well joining us, of course, that being Matthias Collegon in the other Mercedes. They've got a very strong partnership here today, folks. Danny Moreno returning once again after his win a couple of weeks ago at Baku, and certainly Danny Moreno carrying a lot of confidence after that weekend. Of course, not sure, Jack, are you back with us? Not quite. I don't think Jack is quite back with us yet, folks. He will be with us shortly. Of course, it's been quite a hysteria week of sorts. I've got to say, the F1 Esports has provided many talking points amongst the grid, as we're now witnessing Veloce Hayes making his way around the next chicane. Jan Watmier taking 2 wins from 3 for the Sauber team. They couldn't ask for a better start, I suppose, though, of the obvious, which would be 3 wins in a row. But he got 2 wins out of the 3 circuits they've raced at. Sauber in very phenomenal form. Danny Perez, they picking up some phenomenal points as well. Certainly, Sauber look like the team to beat this season. Of course, let's not forget this man, of course, Danny Moreno, who is currently top end here. He's back in the pit box, but of course, he is known to pick up some real good points, as we now see Jan Watmier coming around Sector 2. Let's keep an eye on the Dutchman as he makes his way through Sector 2 now. Very soon he'll be coming under the tunnel through to the next chicane. Now, this one, a very tricky one, turns 9 and 10, and this will lead you to the Pingle hairpin. Of course, he's trying to just scale the car around this track. I know he's on a slow down lap right now. You do fully expect Jarno to pit after this one, but just to show you this hairpin and how tight it really is, the Pingle is extremely tricky, and wet weather conditions make it all the more difficult, because you've got to try and negotiate your way around the corner without touching the barrier, because that barrier, fully made of concrete, is not going to go well with your car or your suspension or your front wing for that matter. You've got to try and scale the car around this circuit. Lots of quick chicanes here, lots of quick corners, and it's going to take the very best of the best to get a fast time round here. Ruben Vallejo as well, now out in Sector 3. Let's see what this man could do. Naturally already nailed a 120.9. I've got a feeling he's going to be diving back into the pit lane as well as he makes his way down towards the box. And looking further down, we've got a couple of drivers still out on lap times. Alessio Di Capio is there as well, just making his way around the Pont della Concorde. Now this bit, you've got to get absolutely right. You've got to take a lot of this inset of the curb, make sure you hold all of it, and then round the apex on the exit then. Heading down this stretch now. This will be towards the tunnel. You just see Ifan Yuan now letting the Ferrari through. Ferrari still with at the bottom of the championship as such, or near the bottom. They're currently in, well, second from bottom, ahead of Racing Point. So definitely an improvement based on what happened last week. The Ferrari team actually managed to get a lot of advantages based on the amount of DNFs we had at Baku, and they're now up to 18 points in the championship, as we now see Alessio now making his way down the straight. And in that prancing horse of the Ferrari, this is the first time we've seen this man as he makes his way down the stretch towards the Wall of Champions. Let's see what the Ferrari man can get today as he comes down towards the final chicane. And indeed, just look at the water there. It's all over the track. It's going to make conditions really tricky here. And it looks like as he comes up towards the line, it's going to be a very tricky one here for the Ferrari driver. Not tickling the top end here with a 124.587. BDG Calvin crossing the line as well. 124.597 as well. And the rain still continues to pour. It has not been a great start here for Alessio and BDG Calvin, but the weather seems to be getting more and more treacherous. Sven Zerner out on another lap as well. He's making his way around. This is his hot lap as we now witness the German coming up towards the next chicane. You'd imagine that in usual conditions this would almost be red flag conditions, given the fact that the rain is coming down so hard. We certainly saw that at the Nürburgring this year when they did the Eiffel GP, as we now see Sven Zerner coming around the Pont della Concorde, just hugging that left-hander on the outset now, just brushing that curb as well. Just see how delicate he has to be on the throttle. He knows that these conditions are not, or less than ideal. Tomek as well is out on a fast lap. Let's see if this man can try and get a nice pacey lap in. Currently P4, 0.2 of a second off Danny Moreno, who's in P1 as he makes his way around the next left-hander. In fact, it's less than 0.2. He's actually just under 1.5 of a second. So Tomek Paradzik, if he can find any time, it would certainly go a long way towards him getting pole position. Jarno Watmier out on an outlap as well. So all the drivers currently in the top 4, or 3 of them in the top 4, sorry, are now out on track. Still yet to see Danny Moreno. I'd imagine he's full of confidence after that initial P1 lap of a 120.280. Looking very sharp indeed, Danny Moreno, as we now see Tomek rounding the hairpin now, the Pingle hairpin. Coming out of the stretch now, heading down towards the next straight. And as they make their way now towards the Wall of Champions, you can see that McLaren now, the orange livery, looking ever prominent despite the hellacious conditions here at Canada. It's certainly going to be some fantastic scenes here at Canada as he makes his way down through to the pit lane. Tomek not happy with that situation whatsoever. Jarno Opmeer out on an outlap. A lot of these drivers really struggling at the moment to dictate their pace around this track, as we now see Jarno Opmeer, of course, winner of 2 esports events already this season, certainly in form for Sauber, and once again driving that familiar livery here around Canada, famed for the names such as Jacques Villeneuve here at Canada, as well as Gilles Villeneuve, his father, in which this track is named after. And I'm sure the Dutchman's looking to once again tickle the top end with another P1 victory, sorry. Does not want to get a P2 this time, wants to try and knock Danny Moreno off his perch. Of course, Moreno, like I said before, coming off a win at Baku in stupendous fashion, was pretty much unchallenged. The strategy was pretty much all said and done throughout that Azerbaijan Grand Prix, as we're now seeing Jarno Opmeer coming under the Rolex bridge now, heading into the next chicane, turns 9 and 10, just brushing each curve, swallowing the whole apex, coming out the stretch now, just listening to him, just nurse the power and the brakes and the accelerator as he comes down towards the Epingle now. Just see how he rounds this corner, just gluing himself to the apex as he now rounds it, heading down the stretch. This is the Virage to Casino, or the Droid to Casino as people like to call it. I'm going to call it the Casino Straight, and Jarno, obviously not happy with the grip, is trying to warm up those tyres because they are cooling at a rate of knots, and that is what you need to avoid. Certainly around a track like Canada, you need all the grip possible, but this rain is making it so difficult for these guys, as you can now see that Tomek, in fact, is opting or looking at a potential trip on the inters. I can see that Ifan Yuan as well, really having a look at the same as well, as we now see Jarno Opmeer now coming up towards the first left-hander. This, of course, being the Virage Senna now as he makes his way around this sweeping right-hander out on the stretch before he meets turns 4 and 5. Here comes the Alpha. Currently P3 in qualifying, 120.337 for Jarno Opmeer. Heads down the stretch now towards what will be the Pont de la Concorde as he comes out of turn 6. Again, swallowing the curb. Again on the outset, just keeping it as smooth as possible. You cannot afford to make mistakes here at Canada, folks. Certainly around a slick track where walls are all around you. The last thing you want is a broken front wing. You need all the downforce possible because obviously every bit of this track counts to avoid getting an invalidation, which of course can cost you time, as Ben Szabo goes into P3 and knocks Jarno Opmeer down a peg, the former ORL champion in the AlphaTauri, a 120.327. And Ben Szabo certainly showing a return to form, that's for sure. Of course, Ben Szabo, as I said before, former champion. And great to see him back in amongst it here as he makes his way around the next right-hander. We're just going to be witnessing now Jarno Opmeer coming down the stretch before he reaches the wall of champions. A great opportunity here for the Dutchman. If he can strike gold here as he's about to cross the line. He's about 17, 18, 19, 20, 19 is all he needed. 119.617. The Dutchman's done it again. Fastest lap here for Jarno Opmeer. And he's clear by none other than near over 0.6 of a second. Phenomenal as Mr. Anker goes P2. This track, the conditions are certainly improving. A lot of the faster lap times here are now starting to show up now with 4 minutes remaining here in qualifying. So these guys have got to get a shake on if they want to try and nail some faster times. Danny Moreno on an outlap as well. Ben Szabo still out as well as he makes his way down the stretch. I'm pretty sure this will be his in lap as we can now look further down. Veloce Hayes as well coming across the line to commence his hot lap as he makes his way towards the next chicane. Let's stay on board with Matthias Collegon now as he comes down towards turns 4 and 5 on the outset, heading round towards turn 6. The Pont de la Concorde will be beckoning. Ben Szabo necking P1 here, already here in qualifying with 3.5 minutes remaining. The AlphaTauri, the former champ, looking to topple Jarno Opmeer off top spot as we now see further back, as we saw before, just looking further back, it was Veloce Hayes we were looking at as he makes his way towards the next chicane, and as he does so, again, needs to cling to every single apex. These are absolute scenes here in Canada, folks. These weather conditions are absolutely appalling here at the Canadian Grand Prix track of the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, as we now see Matthias Collegon rounding the Epingle hairpin, bombing down the stretch. Is he going to be able to tickle the top end here to join Ben Szabo on the front row of the grid? Will he be able to knock Jarno Opmeer down a place or two as he now makes his way down towards the wall of champions? The Mercedes, the black car, making making his way through the final chicane, heading out on the stretch now. 116, 17, 18, 19, and 20. It's not enough. It's 21. He stays in P9. No improvement there for the Mercedes car. Just looking further up as well, you got Sven Zerner out on an outlap. Alessio making his way to P6. Of course, we got Velociano up me is still there. Danny Moreno is out on a fast lap as well. Let's keep an eye on the Spaniard as he makes his way down towards the next chicane. Indeed, turns 4 and 5. Just rounding it now. Turn 6 is next. Pont della Concorde beckons. That's turn 7 and 8. The Black Arrow making its way around this tricky section, donning those wet tyres with the extra grip that he really needs around this wet circuit. You just see the grooves actually within the compound, allowing that extra grip level on a slick surface, which is exactly what you need, certainly in conditions such as these in Canada, as he makes his way out of that chicane, heading down towards what will be the hairpin. And Jack, can I hear you back with us?
Yeah, only took me 3 tries, but I'm back. Just to have the fun part of qualifying. I always come back in at the fun part, but yeah, just enjoying seeing Danny Moreno wrangle this Merc around this last part of the lap. Of course, no DRS, but he's using all of his ERS down the back straight here into the final chicane, all the way down to 320 kilometers an hour onto the brakes, getting it turned in, trying to avoid the wall of Champions. Lovely speed carried through there by Danny Moreno. Here he comes. It takes to 16, 17, 18. It's going to be very close. He comes across the line. It's second for Danny Moreno, just 100th behind Ben Saba. But what about Ben Saba? Awesome job from the Hungarian so far.
Not forgetting as well, Matthias Collegon in P4, Jack at 119.823. Mercedes in Ps 2 and 4, currently in the classification. Jarno Watmir getting ready for a hot lap as well. He's going to need a real turn of foot here in order to claim that top spot. Ben Zabo out of nowhere, currently leading the contingent with a 119.590. What a return from Ben Zabo, Jack.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I think this is almost a display from him, as of course he did not make it through the pro draft for the F1 esports. But this is now showing that when he gets into these wet conditions, he's a weapon in that AlphaTauri. Danny Moreno only 100 behind him, and Jarno Watmir, he's still very close behind, and he begins his lap now, George.
He does indeed. He's coming down towards turn 1, and indeed needs to try and hug the whole apex there, coming around the Virage Centre, this being turn 3, of course, on the outset. Now he's got the chicane beckoning under the Fanatec banner now, and indeed this Alfa Romeo needs to go quick in tricky conditions as he comes down towards this tight chicane. Remember, Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton coming together at that chicane, costing Sebastian Vettel on what he thought he deserved, a P1 finish at that track. Of course, remember that race, that phenomenal race where Lewis Hamilton claimed the victory, and indeed it shook things up in the world of Formula 1 as Jarno Watmir now comes under the Rolex banner. Ahead of him is the next chicane, that being turns 9 and 10. The Alpha looking prominent, trying to grip to every apex, every orifice of this circuit as it now comes down towards the Epingle hairpin. Remember, you need all the traction coming into this corner. All the grip is necessary. Downforce is a must as he comes out of that hairpin bend now, down the stretch, heading towards the Casino Straight. And indeed, the crowd's littered with umbrellas all across the place, dotted around this circuit as we now see the Alpha heading down towards the final chicane. Is it going to be a last gasp P1 start for Jarno Watmir as he comes through the final bends now? He's currently got 113, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, it's 19, it's P2. Ben Sabo is remaining in P1, not to mention he's going to try and go faster again, but needless to say, he doesn't need to. Ben Sabo, for now, Jack, P1 on the grid.
That's a brilliant job. He is not on a quick lap as Ben Saba, but 3/1000ths of a second is all it took for Ben Saba to secure his very first pole position of this season. That's a great effort from him. We're really happy with that, of course, now. But he's got Jarno Watmir in P2, Moreno in third right behind, and less than 1/10 of a second between the three of them. And remember, all of them have free tyre choice for the race, if it is dry, that is. There's only one car left out on track, and that's Ifan Yuan, who's still just making his way back to the pit lane on a set of intermediate tyres. That really didn't work from him. But free tyre choice across the grid, I think we're going to see plenty of them going on probably those medium compound tyres.
Of course, we don't know what the situation's going to be, folks. We're none the wiser as to what the conditions are going to be coming to the race. But obviously, it's going to mix things right up across the grid right now. Wet tyre times, absolutely phenomenal competitive driving from all of these guys here in qualifying. Let's just run through the numbers. Ben Zabo, P1 for AlphaTauri with a 119.590. Only 6 drivers actually getting into the 19s. Phenomenal effort. Jarno Watmir P2, Moreno P3, Hayes P4, Zerna P5, Alessio in P6, Paradzik in P7, Vallejo in P8, Anchor in P9, Zones in P10, 1 second in P11, Steve in P12, gets owned 13. That's going to be Napadovsky in P14, Calvin P15, Ifan Yuan rounding them off in P16. But what a start, Jack. And we're just going to have a little advert break, folks. Be right back with you. Welcome back, folks, as we wait for the lobby to roll up. Of course, just got a quick message for all you guys at home. Of course, we got these HyperX headphones here that I was given. Of course, I made an opening video regarding these. We've got a giveaway announcement at the end of the stream today. Don't forget it. It's going to be great.
Sound fine to me, George.
These guys are going to get fresh option tyres, so what's going to happen here?
Well, of course, if you're unfamiliar with Formula 1, if there's a wet session and it's a dry session the next day, everyone gets free choice of tyres. Now, as I predicted, everyone's gone. Nobody's opted for the soft compound tyre because they just do not last around here. Everybody has gone on the mediums apart from 2 people, BDG Calvin and a certain Jarno Watmir in P2. So he's going to go long and switch on to the softs at the end of this race to be really, really quick. It's a typical Jarno Watmir strategy. Go on the harder compound tyre at the start and then fly through the field at the very end. Ben Sabo just going to go for the medium tyres at the start now just to get the early pace. But the alternate strategy is going to be for everybody. Well, the alternate strategy has become the basic strategy. The hard compound tyre, which you normally wouldn't see, is now back out, and just watch out for Jarno Watmir at the very end of this race. But the crucial phase of this race for Jarno Watmir is going to be the opening when he wants to minimise the amount of positions he loses.
Absolutely. It's going to literally be a straight slinger from the very start. Of course, all these drivers on fast compounded tyres. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to manage to adapt to the strategy better. Of course, we had wet conditions. That allows those free use of compounds, as you discussed, Jack, and mentioned. Looking at the top end, naturally, Jarno Watmir, the only one on the hard tyres. He's going for a gamble here, of course, being on an alternate strategy than that of Ben Zabo and the rest of the field. The only other driver on hard tyres is Calvin. Let's see how this works up. He needs to try and maintain the pace right through if he wants to make those work. So it's going to be interesting to see how he can contest amongst the drivers on the mediums. What's your predictions for this one, Jack?
Oh, I really don't know. It's hard to bet against Jarno Watmir, but look, let's not forget about those 2 Mercedes behind Danny Moreno and Matthias Colligon. Colligon's won on track before, so don't count him out. But I'm going to have to go Watmir again.
Yeah, well, he's won already 2 races in F1 Esports. Can he win this one as the lights are about to go out? Third light, fourth light, the 5th light! And it's pedal to the metal. Go, 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 go. Ben Sabo out like a shot there, heading down towards turn 1. Jarno Watmir swallowed up by Danny Moreno, the Spaniard, and the Dutchman doing battle once again. But it's Danny Moreno taking advantage advantage on the inside. Alessio trying to challenge Yana Wamir. Moving up from P5. Ruben Vallejo with a great start as they come through the first chicane. Phenomenal start there from Ben Sabo, though. He is clear by a second already. Jack, what a start.
Yeah, it looks like as well Sven Zerner has gone up to third place as well. He ghosted on our screens, but you can see Alessio Di Capo fighting with Matthias Colligan, who falls back behind. Now you can see Tomek Paradzik in the McLaren trying to make his way through. Vallejo now fighting past his way past Matthias Colligan, and the Williams is ahead. Colligan back up the inside through the chicane, not going to be able to do that there. But now Ben Sabo breaking DRS already on Danny Moreno. That's an awesome job from Ben Sabo. You can see Moreno's going to close in when we get the updated sectors. Now he's right on his tail. Sven Zerner in third place. Otmir in fourth, but he's under pressure from the Ferrari. The hard tires are not going to be very quick in this early part of the stint, but he needs to look after the tires. He needs to just let them by, don't battle too much, and just manage the tires, which is he's so good at. Here comes Alessio Di Capo then into the final chicane. Can't quite do it yet, but this is now going to be patience from Jarno Otmir.
Yes, Alessio Di Capio riding all over the back of Jarno Otmir, the Dutchman in jeopardy as the Ferrari makes its way around and overtakes Jarno Otmir, heading into turn one. A phenomenal move by the prancing horse, and he snatches P4. Sven Zerner clear by around 7/10 of a second to in battle with Danny Moreno. It is a case of the German versus the Spaniard. Ben Sabo has managed to, well, not managed, he's actually dropped down by 6/10 of a second with Danny all over his tail. Further down, we've seen an incredible battle between Tomek Paradzik and Veloce Hayes, also known as Matthias Colligan. Ruben Vallejo at the mercy of Hayes as well right now, as we can now see that Mercedes cruising up on that Mercedes engine Williams as they come through to the next chicane. Jarno Otmir dropping pace by the moment. Those hard tyres are not treating him well, Jack. He has dropped right down the field, 3 places no less.
Yeah, I don't think Jarno's going to be in full push mode at this point in time. He knows he needs to look after the tires. He's going a long way into this race, so he just needs to be managing them now. But you'll see Ruben Vallejo in the slipstream. He doesn't have DRS yet, but he'll be using his ERS into overtake mode. Actually saving ERS now, harvesting down the straight. Doesn't need to worry about it too much yet. Into the final chicane, past the wall of champions. Otmir, then Vallejo, then Hayes, then Paradzik closing in as well. And you can see now Moreno putting the pressure, but Alessio Di Capio now with the fastest lap. Now Colligan is the closest on the Williams, but he not able to get past us yet. DRS enabled on this lap, so now we're going to see the slipstream trains.
Yeah, get ready, folks. The DRS is prime. We're going to be seeing some overtaking action here at the Canadian circuit of the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It's going to be absolutely mind-blowing as we now see Jarno now trying to fight off the approaches from Ruben Vallejo as they come down towards the Pont de la Concorde, hugging the apexes. In behind is Veloce Hayes, also known as Matthias Colligan. He is gunning all over the back of Ruben Vallejo. Vallejo is now cruising up to Jarno Otmir. It's going to be a straight fist fight between these two. Danny Moreno closing the gap on Ben Sabo again as they come up towards the Pingle hairpin. It's going to be an opportunity here for somebody as indeed Ruben Vallejo just eyeing up Jarno Otmir. You get the feeling, Jack, as they make their way around the Pingle, that Ruben Vallejo is eyeing up a tasty manoeuvre.
Yeah, it looks like it, as is the Spaniard Danny Moreno, but you can see Ben Sabo got an epic exit out of the hairpin. He's not able to get up alongside him, nor is he using any ERS here. Danny Moreno being very patient as now Vallejo goes for it and surges past Jarno Otmir. No defense put up by Jarno Otmir. There's nothing he could have done about it there. Gets very close to the inside wall there as they come through past the wall of champions. But right now, Danny Moreno out front. He's not quite able to get past Ben Sabo, but I think he's harvesting his ERS for a full-on attack where Ben Sabo can do absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah, well, Jarno Otmir didn't have the best of times last season in Canada either. Remember, he had that coming together with Arsene Kardinov that, of course, we spoke about earlier. Now, again, he's going to be looking for redemption as he comes round the Pont de la Concorde with Hayes right in his slipstream at this moment in time. He's not surely not going to be at the mercy of the Mercedes this time as they come down towards the next chicane now under the Rolex banner. Ruben Vallejo already clear by 8/10 of a second, now 9.5 of a second away from Jarno Otmir, so making great time is Ruben Vallejo. He's going to try and catch up with Alessio Di Caprio now as they come down towards the Pingle hairpin. Danny Moreno is trying to fight back at Ben Sabo as he'll now have DRS heading down the Casino straight. The AlphaTauri at the mercy here of the Mercedes coming down the stretch now, heading down towards the Wall of Champions. Here comes the Mercedes. Boom shakalaka, he says. P1 for Danny Moreno. The Spaniard hits the front and he will lead them round in lap 5 of 35 here at Canada.
That was teed up perfectly by Danny Moreno. He used absolutely all of his ERS down the straight just to make sure he shut the door on Ben Zaba and got the DRS for the next straight. Now he can pull away. It's been a problem for Tomek Peradzik. Looks like he is around in turn number 1. He gets back going again, but not a good start to the day for Tomek Peradzik. He falls down to 15th place. Moreno leads, Ben Zaba in second. Sven Zerner now wants a piece of the action as well. As an impressively paced Alessio Di Caprio here in the Ferrari. He's keeping with this top 4. Big slide from Ruben Vallejo in the background in the Williams as well. But now you can see, just going back to Jarno Opmeer, he's now under pressure from the racing point of zones. But don't forget, Opmeer's on a different strategy. He's just managing his tyres. Wait till we get to the end of this race when he starts to get through the field on the soft tyres. Sven Zerner now starting to pressure Ben Zaba, but he went a little bit wide in the hairpin, and I think the Ferrari of Alessio Di Caprio might be able to get past George.
He certainly will. Alessio Di Caprio now in P4, eyeing up Sven Zerner, looking for a move here on the Red Bull, but Sven Zerner, ever resilient, able to keep the straight line speed from that Ferrari overtaking him here as the DRS becomes active. A little late there, Alessio, hitting the throttle there as they come down towards turn 1. Danny Moreno already clear by a second, 1.1 seconds in fact. Ben Zaba struggling to keep up with the Spaniard. Steve has overtaken Ghetto and BDG Calvin out of the race. A DNF there, the only other driver on the hard tyres at the start of this Grand Prix, out of the race, leaving Jarno Opmeer the only driver on hards in this race. What could that mean for the end of this Grand Prix? Of course, the strategies are going to be absolutely vital to watch. Obviously, he's going to decide what happens at the end of this race. Of course, Jarno now might start to see those hard tyres kicking in around about lap 7 or 8, as we now see Ben Zaba rounding the chicane in hot pursuit. Sven Zerner, Alessio Di Caprio as well, with half a second separating him and the German, making their way down towards the hairpin bends now. The prancing horse of the Ferrari looking to get back to table respectability here. They need the points, desperate for the points, and this man Alessio looks like the man to give it to them as they come down the stretch now. 4/10 of a second, 5/10 separating him and Sven Zerner as they come down towards the next chicane. Indeed, in behind, Ruben Vallejo trying to gather back the lap time, but he's currently 1.2 seconds behind him now as they make their way out to the Wall of Champions down the stretch. Still Danny Moreno leads with near enough 1.5 seconds advantage.
Yes, Sven Zerner just picked up a penalty going through the chicane at the Wall of Champions. Just took a little bit too much curb on the inside. We're going to see lots of that now. And drivers really need to keep their nose clean because there's a couple of drivers that picked up penalties in the form of Colligon, Sven Zerner, and one other that I couldn't quite remember. Sven Zerner was very, very wide through the first couple of corners, and now he's lost a little bit of time to Ben Zaba, falling into the clutches of the Ferrari of Alessio Di Caprio behind, and as well Vallejo's nipping into DRS range as well. Colligon starting to come back. Opmeer now under pressure from Mr. Anka in the Ferrari. He's fallen out of DRS range of zones who got past him on the previous lap, so things are falling into place now. It's settling down a little bit now, but the crucial part is Moreno has broken DRS and is pulling away. Ben Zaba, I think, is holding up the guys behind now.
Absolutely, and Alessio now still once again trying to close the gap on Sven Zerner. That gap of half a second has been maintained for the last few laps now as they make their way down towards the Wall of Champions. If anyone is actually looking at making a move, it's Sven Zerner. He's closing the gap on the sister car of the AlphaTauri, that being Ben Zaba, coming down towards turn 1 now as they begin lap 8 of 35. The AlphaTauri now at the mercy here of the Red Bull, as we can now see Sven Zerner just grasping the apex there, trying to coax the car around. Sven Zerner looking to try and get his first win of the season in ORL. We know his quality. Remember, he was one of the runner-ups at the very first F1 esports event all the way back in 2017. He's now making his way through this ORL field, looking for a victory. If he can put that Red Bull on the top end, and certainly he has the potential to do so. In behind, Alessio Di Caprio staying in hot pursuit of that Red Bull in the slipstream of that navy livery as they make their way around the next chicane. Indeed, on the outset of turn 9 and 10, they head down towards the Epingle hairpin. Danny Moreno leading them down. That gap of 1.5 seconds to hit between him and Ben Zaba has been maintained still. So great pace on Danny Moreno and has managed to come out of the slipstream. Ben Zaba now in real jeopardy because here comes Sven Zerner coming down the stretch now. Can he use the ERS to his advantage here? He's got plenty left as they make their way down towards the Wall of Champions. Here comes the Red Bull. It gives him wings. He lets fly. He takes P2. Sven Zerner up a spot. P2 for the Red Bull, but a battling back Ben Zaba trying to Pierre Gasly his way around that Red Bull now. It's not enough. Sven Zerner shut the door. A late break there from Ben Zaba coming round turn 1 and turn 2 and turn 3, but it's the Red Bull that takes the day. He's in P2. Zerner makes himself into the top 2 positions.
And picks up a penalty as a result as he comes through. But you can see he went so defensive as soon as he got past Ben Saba, just cutting across the front wing of the Alpha Tower. He's into P2 now, but he's got a 6 seconds worth of penalties, which is not going to help him in his attempted chase of Danny Moreno up front. Alessio Di Caprio now has got a chance to try and get past the Alpha Tauri now. But this is now the phase of the race. Mr. Anka has actually just got past Jarno Watmir as well. But now, in about 3 laps' time, you're going to see Jarno Watmir start to come back, because the hards will start to come into play, because the mediums will start to lose their grip now. But Jarno is losing places quite a lot, but he will gain those back. It's just a question of where he's going to end up at the end of the race.
It's literally got to be a case that he's just got to stay out, try and grasp every bit of delta he can, just try and stay in the race, take your medicine, stay in the race. Remember, he's on those hard tyres, folks. There's literally minimal delta times between all of these drivers right now, currently separated the top end. They're all pretty much within 10 seconds, and we got some drama there, Jack.
Oh, Jarno was very, very lucky there. He was attempted overtake by the Renault of 1 second. They made tyre-on-tyre contact in the last chicane, and very, very nearly Jarno Watmir ended up in the wall of champions. He somehow managed to keep it out of there. No damage for him, but he carries on. And crucially enough, Danny Moreno's just picked up a penalty. That could become crucial at the end of the race.
Absolutely. Well, Steve has managed to overtake Jarno as well, but it's no surprise. Remember, the compounds are very different. Plenty of life left in those medium tyres for the likes of Steve, Mr. Anka, and pretty much everybody across the grid right now. Fan Yuan, the Chinese F1 esports contender, currently towards the back, P13 with another time penalty to his name. Tomek Perazis in behind him after that spin, of course. Napadovsky at the tail end of the field with a new pair of tyres, as well as Tomek as they come down towards the Epingle hairpin. You can see that Jarno Watmir currently just waiting, biding his time, waiting for his tyres to come alive and his strategy to come fruitful for him. Looking further up, Hayes as well. Matthias Collegon still in the race, just within 0.4 of a second of Ruben Vallejo. Alessio Di Caprio as well, getting closer and closer to Ben Zaba, who's trying to tag back on Sven Zerner. Here comes the prancing horse of Alessio Di Caprio, coming down the stretch now towards turn 1, but Ben Zaba still holds on to P3. Podium's up for grabs here, folks, as Sven Zerner leads these 3 cars around the barrage center, and as they make their way around here in lap 11 of 35, still a long way to go, folks, but the drama has been insane.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant so far. You can see Otmir is now starting to just get back into it a little bit now as he tries to close up to the back of Steve right now. But it was a scary, scary moment. I was on board with him for about a lap, and Otmir is absolutely sending this car sideways through every corner. There's no grip on the hard compound tyre still yet. But he's starting to bend it in a little bit. He's just getting out of shape a little bit on each and every corner. But it's spectacular to watch in some of these corners where he's hanging the rear end out. It's not good for the tyre wear, but it's certainly good for the spectacle in some of those corners. But he's certainly getting his eye in a little bit now. He's keeping with the Alpha Tauri up ahead, keeping in DRS range. He's going to start coming back into play now. Just keeping an eye up front. No moves from Collegon, Vallejo, or Caprio yet. They're hanging in there. Just saw a scheduled stop as well for the Ferrari of Mr. Anka. He's come in for a fresh set of medium compound tyres. As now, here comes Collegon on Vallejo to the inside line. Is he going to be able to get alongside? He's going to have to break the Williams into turn 1. Not able to get up alongside. Not going to try anything too silly there. And for now, Ruben Vallejo holds on. But now Sven Zerner turns into the cork in the bottle.
Yeah, he does. Ben Zabo, in fact, currently 0.4 of a second behind the German. Danny Moreno has walked away with this now, 2.7 seconds clear of Sven Zerner in P2. The Alpha Tauri of Ben Zabo, though, trying to close the gap, trying to reclaim that P2 that he lost. Remember, he started on the front end of the grid, as you can now see him just losing shape there on the exit. Now that'll allow Alessio Di Caprio a chance to try and close his gap as well on that Alpha Tauri. The 2 Italian cars going at it here at Canada. In behind, Ruben Vallejo also doing battle with Hayes. Matthias Collegon coming into the race as well. Just look at the string of quality we have got at the top end right now. The Italian cars now, the Alpha Tauri and the Ferrari once again coming together. Alessio on the outset trying to get that straight line speed of his work in against Ben Zabo. The former champ is under a little bit of stress here as here comes Alessio Di Caprio down towards the stretch now. Can he make a move? No, not this time. Not enough pace coming down this straight. And indeed we see already Sven Zerner diving into the pit lane.
But here comes DiCaprio now with the run out of the chicane onto the inside line. For turn number 1, he's going to be able to outbrake the AlphaTauri. Shoves him wide, but he's still there on the inside line is Ben Saba. That'll open the door maybe for Ruben Vallejo. Ben Saba holds on for now. Still somehow hangs around the outside with DiCaprio. Looking pacey on these medium compound tires right behind in the Ferrari. Slinging it through this chicane. But for now, DiCaprio has to hang back. He's saving ERS. Sven Zerner onto the soft compound tire, opting for a 2-stop strategy here, George.
This man, DiCaprio, is absolutely unbelievable. He's not just Leonardo DiCaprio, he's Alessio DiCaprio. That's his name here today as he makes his way down here in P3, and behind him, Ruben Vallejo, all over him like a nasty rash here. And indeed, it looks like we're going to have a bit of a jumble here in the top end. Danny Moreno is almost a twinkle in the eyesight at this moment. He is currently 4 seconds clear of Ben Sabo. And indeed, it looks like Ben Sabo's going to be in trouble because Alessio is now going to have the straight line speed with the DRS to aid him here to overtake their Italian compadres as they come down the stretch now. The casino stretch. Is he going to gamble? He certainly is. Alessio DiCaprio down the outside into the pit lane. He snatches P2 in the pit lane. How vital could that be in a strategy sense, Jack?
Yeah, you always want to get a little bit of track position at any point you can. Also, Danny Moreno from the lead has pitted and he's gone onto the hard compound tire. So watch now. Steve now leads, but look at who's now in P2. Jarno Watmir. He's now got to bang in the laps. He's got to hope that Steve possibly pits now in the next few laps. But he is going to be now well in the zone on those hard compound tire. I'm interested to see what Sven Zerner's pace is going to be like. He's opted on the soft compound tire and he's committed now to a 2-stop strategy, which is unusual. You don't really see it too often, but now he's opting for a very aggressive strategy. Let's see where it brings him out.
It's going to be very interesting, certainly a 2-stopper, very interesting indeed. Let's see how this pays off for Sven Zerner towards the end of the race. We've got various strategies across the grid right now. Of course, Jarno Watmir, the only one on the hard tyres, trying to make his way up towards the Pingle hairpin. Of course, we've got a lot of the drivers who start on the mediums opting for the hards now, but Jarno's gone the opposite route as they come round towards the Pingle hairpin now. Steve's still in front, but you've got to think that the DRS is going to become useful for Jarno Watmir as they come towards the stretch now, the casino stretch. Indeed, it's Jarno's turn. The Flying Dutchman needs to let loose there. The lap times are going to come crashing out of that Alfa Romeo as they come down towards the final chicane. Indeed, that being the Wall of Champions. The AlphaTauri still in front. Jarno seems content. He's going to stick behind the AlphaTauri, try and use the straight line speed off those mediums for the time being while they're still useful as they make their way around turn 1 now, heading towards the Virage Senna. Steve under all sorts of pressure here from the Flying Dutchman. Jarno Watmir has been absolutely incredible here. 0.4 of a second, the maximum gap in between these two. And indeed, Yifan Yuan, the other Alfa Romeo car, in P3. So if it stays like this, I'll front for great points. But we know that pit stops are still yet to be had by the top 3. So don't count your chickens yet. It's still all to play for.
I'd like to point out that Alessio DiCaprio is now the net race leader after the pit stops because I think Danny Moreno got held in the box. So you can see DiCaprio, Szabo, then you can see Paradzik, Vallejo, and Moreno is behind Ruben Vallejo after the pit stops, and they all pitted on the same lap. So DiCaprio is now the net race leader in the Ferrari. This is really interesting. Here comes Sven Zerner on Yifan Yuan. That's not going to be too much of a contest for him now on the fresh soft tire, and the Chinese driver falls behind for now. But yeah, DiCaprio on those new hards is your net race leader.
Yeah, well, Sven's got to go for it now. Now he's overtaking Yifan Yuan. That was a move he had to make in order to try and gain some time upon Jarno Watmir and Steve. Not forgetting that he's going to have to 2-stop, folks, because those softs are not going to get him to the end. So he really needs to start crunching some numbers. Jarno Watmir still tucked in behind that of Steve right now. These two currently Ps 1 and 2, subject to pit stops. Alessio DiCaprio now up to P5, your net race leader now, folks. What a strategy and what a maneuver to grasp that move at the end just before his pit stop. And that has allowed him to take the net race lead of this Canadian Grand Prix. Unbelievable scenes as Ghetto gets a 3-second time penalty. Mr. Anka out of the session. Ferrari down a man. I'm not sure quite what happened there, Jack, but he is out of the race. Ferrari one-legged here in Canada.
Yeah, I didn't quite see what happened there. And as well, George, do you think it's getting a bit dark at this circuit?
Looks a little bit, Jack. We're going to be seeing some cloud cover here at Canada.
That would play into the hands of Jarno Watmir massively, who now takes the lead away from Steve. He's in the net race lead right now, and he won't. And if it starts raining, he will be in contention straight away. But it's certainly looking very, very dark around this particular circuit today. Has a big move from zones up the inside of Danny Moreno. Moreno's now struggling on the hard compound tire. The mediums, of course, are quicker, but you can see these hard tyres are not worn in yet. It took many laps for Otmir to get into the zone with them, as everybody else was on the medium compound tyre. But a dark horse for this one, I'm going to say, Tomek Peradzik, P6, 6-lap pole mediums. He's right in it.
And not forgetting, like you say, Jack, we could be pitting onto the wets if we're not careful. That cloud looks menacing in the skies of Montreal here, as we can now see Jarno Opmeer ahead of the AlphaTauri and already pulling out a 6/10 of a second advantage. Looking further down, Sven Zerner currently half a second as well behind Steve, who's currently at the mercy of that Red Bull. That compound tyre needs to get to work for Sven. Maybe he thought that we would get rain. Maybe that's why he opted for the softs. Maybe he planned it, Jack. Do you reckon that was what he was thinking?
Well, that certainly sounds like a really aggressive strategy, but he could be a master stroke here. Here he comes on Steve. Fresh soft tires versus 16-lap ball mediums. Straight up the inside. Can he get it stopped? Yes, he can. Up the inside, he'll have DRS now on Jarno Opmeer. So can it be a double overtake for Sven Zerner to take the lead here in the ORL Canadian Grand Prix? But not too far behind is Matthias Colligan, who's on those 4-lap old mediums as well. Here comes Sven Zerner. Overtake enabled, coming towards the last chicane, throws it up the inside. Can he get it stopped? Just about. Opmeer's got the cutback though, and this is for the lead. They're going to go 3 abreast nearly as Sven Zerner goes through. Opmeer backs off. Here comes Steve. Is he going to try it on Opmeer? No, keeps it behind. Sven Zerner threw it up the inside, and he takes the lead.
Yeah, you feel that he needs to try and take the lead on those softs. He needs to make the most of them if he wants to get this strategy working. He needs the rain to fall, does Sven Zerner. And indeed, I'd imagine he's doing some sort of a rain dance in that cockpit right now as they come up towards the next chicane. Indeed, this being the Pondella Concorde on the outset. Jarno Opmeer licking his wounds after that overtake from Sven Zerner as they come down the stretch towards the tunnel. The Rolex banner overhead as they come towards turns 9 and 10 out of the chicane now towards the Impingal hairpin. The German Sven Zerner leading the Canadian Grand Prix. Jarno Opmeer in P2, Steve in P3, chasing these two who are currently in the top podium positions. Hayes is coming into play as well. Matthias Colligan, who will have DRS as well as they make their way down the stretch. The Joint to Casino, what an exit there from Matthias Colligan as they head down the Joint to Casino straight. And indeed, as smoothly does it, the Mercedes snatches P3. Great move there from Veloce Hayes. He is now gunning for his Veloce teammate Jarno Opmeer as he swerves at the Wall of Champions.
Yeah, Opmeer got a bit loose coming through the Wall of Champions as well. Remember, he is on the oldest tyres, nearly. Apart from Steve, he's on 18-lap old medium compound tyre. He's still going around. Steve, I guarantee you, Steve is also hoping for rain right now. He's just trying to get those tyres around as much as he possibly can without getting the puncture. Another penalty for Matthias Colligan. That's 9 seconds worth of penalties. None for Jarno Opmeer at the moment. So he's clean as a whistle at the moment. Sven Zerner's got 6 seconds worth of penalties. DiCaprio has got 3 seconds worth of penalties. Here comes Colligan. No defense put up by Jarno Opmeer. There's nothing he can do about that. And through goes Colligan into second place right now. But everybody, apart from 1 or 2 drivers, has got penalties of some kind, which is going to play crucially to the end of this race.
Yes, Jarno Opmeer keeping it very clean indeed. Currently without a penalty to his name right now as they round the Impingal hairpin. Veloce Hayes, Matthias Colligan in P2. Sven Zerner still leading the way. A mass 2 seconds advantage on that of the Mercedes. He's on 6-lap old soft still. And I'd imagine he still has a little bit of life left in them just yet as they come down towards the Wall of Champions yet again. Jarno Opmeer still yet to pit. He's in P3, just waiting and baiting for those, for that rain to fall. Indeed, it seems a little bit late on the horizon as they come now through on lap 20 of 35. 15 laps remaining here, folks, in Canada, the Maple Leaf country here at Montreal as they round the Virage Centre, heading on the outset. Sven Zerner still leading the way. Matthias Colligan P2, Jarno Opmeer P3, Steve in P4, Alessio DiCaprio in P5, Tomek Peradzik. What a strategy he might have nailed for himself. He's also looking for the rain to fall. Ben Szabo is out in P7 as well. Don't forget, he's on hard tyres. He could probably get a little bit more pace out of those further into the race. But I've got to say, the lead is still up for question. Those Sven Zerner on the softs, but his time delta has been cut by 2/10 to Veloce Hayes.
Yeah, Colligan starting to reel him in now because the softs will start to wear at this point in time. We're not sure when the rain is going to fall, if it's going to fall. There's a massive if around that. But it's certainly interesting to watch nonetheless. Steve's still circulating on those 19-lap old mediums, and they certainly look like they've seen better days, blistering on the left front tyre, as now he's getting caught by Alessio Di Caprio here. 2 seconds behind them is Tomek Peradze, but Ben Szabo is also still in the fight here. He's got 3 seconds worth of penalties as well, as has Ruben Vallejo. Danny Moreno with 6 seconds worth of penalties. Zone's right in there too, as Otmir is in, as is Steve. This is for their scheduled pit stop, so they are changing onto a set of new tyres right here. It's going to be the set of medium compound tyres to the end for Jarno Otmir.
Yes, he's going for the mediums at the end, so he's going to be really, really fresh now. The Dutchman's got to put on a charge. It's now or never for Jarno Otmir. Lap 21 of 35. He needs to get busy on these tyres now as he makes his way out the exit. What's it going to be for the Dutchman? We'll soon find out. Further up, 1 second in P9, chasing that of SHZ Zones, who's currently in P8. 0.2 of a second back to Danny Moreno, of course, who's currently in P7. And further ahead of him is Ruben Vallejo. So we got quite a contingent of cars here in lap 21 of 35. Low way to go, folks, but still plenty of racing left. It's going to be absolutely unbelievable. The delta times are absolutely minimal. Cars separated across the track by minimal size of a fly's eyelash. It's going to be absolutely unbelievable. Jack, I cannot wait to see who's going to pull it off at the end.
I think Zerner's tyres are going off because Hayes is almost within that coveted DRS range at this point in time. But I tell you what, just looking at the penalties, I'm not sure if Tomek Peradze has picked up any, but with all the penalties that are happening at the moment, if he catches up any more, he could win this race. With the amount of penalties that have just happened for the front runners. Sven Zerner on 6 seconds, Hayes on 9 seconds, DiCaprio on 3 seconds. Do not discount Tomek Peradze, but he's under pressure from Ben Szabo. I think he's now starting to form a train on those older medium tyres.
He has indeed, so he's going to have to stop again without a shadow of a doubt. Ben Szabo right in his slipstream right now. If anything, Ben Szabo could mark his return with a victory as well. He's in with every chance. Let's see what this man can do in the AlphaTauri as they come around the Pont della Concorde. Tomek Peradze leading round these string of cars now here, right down to P9 in fact, because 1 second is in the background of all these cars. He's only got 9 lap old mediums on, so he's got plenty of life left in those tyres as they make their way through the next chicane, heading down towards the Epingle hairpin. The McLaren of Tomek Peradze leading around Ben Szabo, being chased by Ruben Vallejo. Danny Moreno, of course, who won at Baku 2 weeks ago, now closing the gap on Ruben Vallejo as well. Zones coming into play, 1 second in P9. What a string of cars we have alongside us here as we now see Ben Szabo trying to gain the gap on Tomek Peradze as they come down towards the Wall of Champions. Any move being made yet by Ben Szabo? No, he's going to be patient. Wait for the next DRS line to light up as he makes his way down the home straight towards the start-finish line, and pitting is Sven Zerner, Jack.
Yeah, onto the medium tyres. That's how much the soft lasts. Not much at all. So Matthias Colligan into the lead of this race. But remember, he's got 9 seconds worth of penalties. So net race league at the moment, Alessio Di Caprio at the moment in time. But Tomek Peradze is also right in there. If he can catch up at all, he could do this, but he's on much older tyres, and I think he's going to have to pit in the next 10. Well, it's going to be very close to bringing him to the end, but he's going to be within the dangerous puncture territory.
He will be indeed. Just look at this contingent we've got coming down towards the Rolex banner now into the next chicane. And you can see there Danny Moreno looking menacing on the back of Ruben Vallejo as they make their way down towards the Epingle hairpin. Of course, Danny Moreno has made quite a name for himself here in ORL. He has won races, has toppled Jarno Otmir on many occasions this season, won the coveted Monaco Grand Prix as well at Monte Carlo as they make their way out to the Epingle hairpin, chasing Ruben Vallejo in the Williams, making their way down the Joy to Casino straight. And as they do so, you can see that Ben Szabo is eyeing up Tomek Peradze yet again. Can a move be made? A late break maybe? No, not this time. Tomek hangs on to P3 in mind of Ben Szabo. Making a move is Sven Zerner on that of what looks to be Napadovsky. A battle going on between these two, but indeed no Napadovsky in the pit lane. Sven Zerner making himself up a few places on fresh medium tyres. Watch out for him. But Jarno Otmir also chasing. He's not behind. He's not far behind. What happened there, Jack?
Ben Szabo spinning in turn 1. That's him out of contention for the race when Sven Zerner's already passed him. I didn't quite see what happened, but Ben Szabo's facing the wrong way in turn 1 with the yellow flag. So Sven Zerner now carving his way through the field on the fresh medium tyres. Otmir is right there. He's not far off the back of them, and he's making ground. Settle in, folks.
Absolutely, because Jarno's all over the back of Get Owned, and Get Owned indeed as he comes under the Rolex banner. Here comes the Flying Dutchman into P9. Jarno Otmir shows why he's star quality. What a move going into that chicane. Heading down towards the Epingle hairpin. The Alfa Romeo driver up yet another spot into the top 10. He's now all over the back of the Spinala of Ben Szabo.
Had to get a spinal in there one time, George. Coming down the back straight, but Ben Sabo has DRS on Sven Zerner, but Zerner is within contention here. Remember, he's got 6 seconds worth of penalties. Not make that 9 seconds worth of penalties as he just makes his way through the last chicane, and this is really costing him. This could cost him the race win later on, but at the moment there's just going to be 10 laps to go as we cross the line, and at the moment, if the math serves me correctly, DiCaprio is in the lead.
Well, what can that mean at the end of this race? Alessio DiCaprio coming out of nowhere, technically could win the Canadian Grand Prix here. Jarno Watmir all over Ben Sabo and the AlphaTauri like a nasty rash into the Pont de la Concorde. They go, and out of it they do. Here comes Jarno battling at Ben Sabo on the outside. The AlphaTauri hanging on, but the Alfa Romeo, a battle of 2 Alphas, but the Alpha guy is Jarno Watmir coming through the next chicane. He takes P8, another overtake for the Dutchman. He has now got 2.5 seconds to find on Sven Zerner, but I can imagine with the pace of Jarno Watmir, despite the disadvantages in terms of tyre age, he will still give everything he's got. P8 for Jarno Watmir.
And there goes Danny Moreno for P4 and Ruben Vallejo with the DRS open, and there was no fight put up by Ruben Vallejo there. Danny Moreno still firmly in the hood. As Pradzik pits, he had to on those medium tyres, so that promotes Danny Moreno to P3, Vallejo to 4th, and 1 second in the Renault is still right there now with a move on Ruben Vallejo, throws it up the inside. He's into P4, but he's also on older medium compound tyres, and he's going to have to pit again as Steve is unfortunately out of this race. I think he just pitted for fresh tyres as a number of drivers in, switching on to the soft compound tyres. A couple of drivers on the alternate strategy of a 2-stopper, and there's a great mix of a strategy happening at this point in time, but still it's Colligan in the lead, and he still needs a couple more seconds if he can bring it out to over 6 seconds.
Here comes Zerner, Sven Zerner, the German down the inside of Ruben Vallejo. A great move on those fresh mediums, indeed working for the German now on the outset in P5, gunning after 1 second now, heading into the Impingle hairpin, and he can see the Renault in the distance. No love loss between Red Bull and Renault. Don't forget, Red Bull looking for a new engine for 2022. Of course, with Honda now leaving the sport, they could well be using a Renault engine in the near future as they come down towards the straight. Indeed, Colligan now in the pit lane. Jack, what's this going to mean? He dons the soft tyres, so he's going to go for a quick ending to this Grand Prix. Remember, we're within 10 laps remaining, folks. Squeaky bum time here in Canada, because indeed, it's going to be a test of strength towards the end of this Grand Prix as Jarno Watmir moves up to P5.
DiCaprio has got to hold his nerve now. He's on older medium tyres, and Sven Zerner is on fresh medium compound tyre as well, so he's not out of contention yet. Remember the amount of penalties he's got. He's got 9 seconds worth of penalties, so all eyes are on DiCaprio, whether he can hold on. He's 5 seconds clear of Danny Moreno, who's got 6 seconds worth of penalties and has got a wild Sven Zerner catching him so quickly at this point in time. But a man to also watch is Colligan, fresh soft tyres. He's going to be flying.
He is indeed, but 3.5 tenths. Sven Zerner, 4-lap-old mediums, chasing Danny Moreno, who's on 13-lap-old hards. Remember, Sven Zerner, all the pacier here today in Canada as they come out of the Impingle hairpin. Easy pickings for the Red Bull. Let's fly down the outside of the Mercedes, heading down towards the Wall of Champions. And the champion in this exchange is Sven Zerner, P2 now, amassed on that car, and indeed has overtaken Danny Moreno. The Spaniard could do nothing about that. Jarno Watmir moves up to P4 now and is chasing Danny Moreno. These two, what a prosaic number of battles those two have had this season, and we're going to see another one again by the looks of it. Alessio DiCaprio leads. Sven Zerner hot on his heels, looking for that P1 spot.
Exactly. Now I've just been watching Colligan. He's just pulled 2 seconds in the space of a sector. He's absolutely flying on the fresh softs. He's caught Vallejo already, and just having a quick gander at the maps. If now DiCaprio gets caught by Sven Zerner, Sven needs to pull 6 seconds to take the win. So it's a hard job, as there goes Colligan straight through, but he needs more now, because that's 12 seconds worth of penalties for Sven Zerner. So it's falling into the lap of the Ferrari out front at the moment.
Yes, he might have let himself down there getting those penalties. That's going to upset his chances at a podium certainly here today. Certainly where the Delta times are concerned, as we can now see Matthias Colligan on fresh soft tyres now trying to chase Jarno Opmeer, and he is now only 1.7 seconds away from that man in the Alpha as they make their way down towards the Wall of Champions. And indeed, the Black Arrow, the Silver Arrow, the Mercedes coming down towards the final chicane, and indeed holding on to every bit of the apex possible, chasing the Flying Dutchman. Danny Moreno, of course, bounding up on Sven Zerner as well, trying to recover up what he lost, which was that P2 position, but not forgetting Sven Zerner has amassed a certain number of penalties that will put his chances of a podium in doubt. Alessio Di Caprio, though, as we're now calling him, currently P1 and 4.3 seconds clear. Ferrari on for their first win of the season, Jack.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely brilliant. This has been like a masterclass from Alessio out front. And let's not forget, Opmeer is still on the podium after all the penalties. He's getting caught by Colligan, but Colligan's got 9 seconds worth of penalties. Moreno's got 6 seconds of penalties. Well, never mind. Jarno's just got a penalty as soon as I went on board with him. It's a 3-second penalty now for Jarno Opmeer, and he's right on the back of Moreno. But either way, he's still on the podium right now. But it's all looking good for Ferrari as the sun starts to come out, because I think they know that the Italian is going to take this.
Well, certainly Jarno Opmeer has got a lot of work to do. He wants to try and get rid of Danny Moreno on track, and indeed, now or never for the Dutchman. They come down towards the Wall of Champions, and Danny Moreno's in the pit box. So now the Flying Dutchman, Jarno Opmeer, is in P3 in the podium places. And indeed, comparing his penalty accruement to that of the rest of the field, he's in with a great advantage. He can now focus on chasing Sven Zerner. Only 2 laps separate them on their compounded tyres, and you can imagine the man who can conserve his tyres the best is that Dutchman indeed. He has done it several times this season. We have seen multiple Grand Prix wins from this man, and indeed, don't write the Dutchman off, because if you do, it might be the foolish thing you ever do, as he makes his way out to the Pod della Concorde down the stretch. Veloce Hayes, his Veloce compadre, right behind on the softs, and indeed, Matthias Colligan needs to go for broke if he wants to try and upset the odds here. Coming out to the next chicane, turns 9 and 10, headed down towards the Epingle hairpin. Zones overtakes Gedone for P6 as they make their way down towards that hellacious hairpin. Jarno Opmeer still in P3, 2.5 seconds back to Sven Zerner. The way things are sitting right now, if Jarno can hang on, he could still be in with a chance of a P1 spot, Jack.
I've just been looking through the penalties. Alessio has a lot more than 3 seconds. He's got nearly 9. So this is still on for the win right here as they come through the last couple of corners. I've just been looking through because I thought he picked up a little bit more, but he's got about 9 seconds worth of penalties as Alessio Di Caprio. So this is not over by any stretch of the imagination. Jarno Opmeer still in with a chance of the win here.
Yeah, and we want to see your comments for driving the day, folks. Don't forget, we will have a survey brought to you, a link to the certainly the smart sheet to decide who you think is driving the day. Here, Jarno Opmeer trying to chase for yet another victory here, and certainly the way the penalties are stacked up, Jarno might have done just that. In P4, currently 6 to 7 tenths behind Veloce Hayes, and in behind the likes of Alessio Di Caprio, Sven Zerner, currently about 5 seconds separate them, 5, 6 seconds. So Jarno in with a great chance as Danny Moreno picks up another 3-second time penalty. It has not gone his way today. We've only got 4 laps remaining, folks. It's bare knuckle time. It's fist fight time. Jarno has got to go great guns around this Canadian circuit.
I think he just needs to hold station, George, because if he's within 6 seconds of the leader, he's won this race. Jarno Opmeer, if he keeps it between the lines, Jarno Opmeer is going to win this race. Hayes has got about 9 seconds of penalty. Sven Zerner 12. Alessio Di Caprio at least 9 seconds. So Opmeer only has 3 seconds. Jarno may have won this by keeping his nose clean.
He could well do, and what a way to do it indeed. Remember, he's won on penalties before this season, and I got to say, you would not write him off again. Certainly a man of many crafts, as Alessio Di Caprio picks up a 3-second time penalty, and that could be all she wrote, folks. With 3 laps remaining, if Jarno can keep it on the circuit here, Alessio's going to be under a lot of pressure. 18-lap-old hards amassed on that Ferrari as the Alfa Romeo makes his way out of the Pod della Concorde. Veloce Hayes gunning at Sven Zerner indeed. It's a battle for the podiums here, folks. Your answers on a postcard, please. I don't have the answer for you. We're about to see the answer, though, in 3 laps' time, Jack.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be keeping an eye. We really don't know exactly what the result is going to be at the very end of this race, but we're enjoying it nonetheless. Alessio De Capua, we're going to take nothing away from the performance he's put on today, but he's just cut the track a little too many times. Sven Zerner, now Matthias Collegon, drafting past, nothing that he can do, and into P2 goes Matthias Collegon. What can he do on those soft tires? They're going to go off in a couple of laps' time, but there's only a couple of laps left, so what can he do? Can he do something?
He can do indeed. I can imagine if he's only got 2.2 seconds to climb with 2 laps remaining. He's got to push a second a lap on Alessio Di Caprio to try and do the overtake on track. But obviously penalties could decide the fate of these drivers here today, as we can imagine Jarno Watmere taking that P1 spot with the bare number of 3 seconds of penalties under his name right now as they come out of the chicane, heading round the next right-hander. He has got the next chicane beckoning, the Pont della Concorde with Sven Zerner dead ahead. Jarno closing at a rate of knots in the Alfa Romeo as he makes his way down the stretch towards the Rolex banner. You can see he's trying to draft the last bit of strength, the last bit of energy out of this car and out of the tyres. He's got, well, see now, he's got plenty of ERS remaining, and that'll give him every advantage heading into the Droita Casino straight as they come down towards the Epingle. Just look at the Red Bull getting closer and closer to the front of that Alfa. Answers on a postcard. I know I keep saying it, folks, but we really don't know who has got this Grand Prix.
Exactly, and so it's 9 seconds of penalties for Matthias Collegon. It's 12 seconds of penalties for De Capua. So Collegon's in the net race today, but don't forget that Jarno Watmere only has 3 seconds. We literally have no idea who's going to win this race on the penalties because we can't do the maths quick enough. But we think it's going to be Jarno Watmere if he keeps it right where he is at this point in time. Sven Zerner's still in with a chance here, but Collegon is not totally out of the picture yet, but only 2 laps to go.
Yes, the crowd is in absolute shock, as are we, as we now see Sven Zerner rounding the next chicane, rounding towards the Pont della Concorde. In behind him, Veloce Jarno Watmere closing the gap at a rate of knots. Currently 1.5 seconds separate these two, and indeed he's going to be seeing a lot more of that Red Bull very, very soon, I'm sure. Needs to try and stay close to the top end as best he can if he wants a chance at this P1 spot as they round the next chicane. Indeed, Alessio Di Caprio, his race might have been run because Veloce Hayes, Matthias Collegon is right behind him. Indeed, we're not sure the situation currently in terms of penalties as Yifan Yuan, the Chinese esports man, is out of this Grand Prix. Here comes Hayes, Matthias Collegon. He has got the slipstream. He has got soft tyres. Can he make a move down towards the Wall of Champions? No, he can't. The gap is way too much. No time at all today for an overtake here for Veloce Hayes as Alessio Di Caprio runs round the Wall of Champions. They're about to start the final lap, Jack. Who's got this in the bag?
Absolutely no idea, but I think it's Jarno Watmere. Here comes now Matthias Collegon, final lap of the race in Canada. Imagine if there was no penalties involved in this one. This would be incredible. Here we go, Collegon on the fresh soft tyres, down to the chicane for the last time here in Canada, throwing it down to the left and right hander here. Round the long right-hander. Alessio Di Capua has put in a hell of a race today, but it's not going to be enough. If Jarno Watmere keeps it clean, he has won this race. He cannot afford to make any mistakes on this final lap. Here comes Matthias Collegon. He'll want to win this on track nonetheless. Down to the last couple of sectors right now, onto the brakes. It's going to be a drag race down to the line between Di Capua and Matthias Collegon. Collegon's won on track before. Remember, he won in Bahrain but lost it on penalties, and it's going to be the same thing today, I think. Round the hairpin for the very last time. DRS for Collegon. Now Di Capua is going to go as defensive as he possibly can. Down the back straight, in the slipstream of the Ferrari. Mercedes power versus Ferrari power. Down to the last chicane. What's he going to do to the outside line? Di Capua defends. There's nothing he can do through the last chicane. It's going to be a run for the line between Collegon and Di Capua. It's going to be side by side. Ferrari's just going to hold on, but we wait to see who's actually going to take it on track here across the line. Sven Zerner across the line. Watmere's done it.
Jarno Watmere takes P1. A hellacious race here in Canada. Redemption for the Dutchman after what happened last season. He takes P1 here today at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. What a race we've had here today. Hayes, his Veloce companion in P2 for Mercedes. A great race throughout. Alessio Di Caprio, just like Leonardo DiCaprio, he's making movies here today. P3 for the Ferrari team. A great podium, a grandiose podium for Ferrari here in Canada. A great result, but Jarno Watmere is the man. He's your winner today in Canada, Jack.
I'm exhausted for that. Trying to keep up with all the penalties and with everything going on. That was incredible. The run for the line between Collegon and Di Capua, even without the penalties. Imagine if we didn't have any penalties involved in that. That'd be incredible. But Nonetheless, it's Jarno Opmeer once again. He kept his nose clean, got rid of the penalties. That shows why he is #1 in the esports standings at the moment.
Absolutely mind-blowing scenes today. I cannot believe what we've just seen, folks. I hope you all enjoyed that, because we certainly did. Lost for air here in the comp box. I gotta say for sure. As we now look at the final classifications, what a race indeed. Jarno Opmeer is your winner of the Canadian Grand Prix and will stretch his drivers' championship points once again with another 25. Veloce Hayes in P2, Alessio DiCaprio in P3. What a race from that man. He drove impeccably. Tomek Peradzik, P4. What a race from him as well in the McLaren team. Sven Zerner, hellacious P5. Ben Zabo up in P6. Zones in P7. 1 second in P8. Napadovsky in P9. Danny Moreno, a very disappointing race today. P10 in the points though. Get owned in P11. Ruben Vallejo in P12. P13 for Ifan Yuan. Of course, I believe he was actually a DNF in the race. Oh no, he did finish, but DNF was Steve, Mr. Anker, and Calvin. DNF'd out of that Grand Prix. But Jack, I gotta say, mate, can you explain that one? Because I certainly can't.
Oh, that was incredible. I want to shout out Tomek Peradzik, driver of the day. For my driver of the day, for one reason alone, the only driver without a penalty, and he managed to get P4 out of that. Well done, Tomek. That was a fantastic job. But, I mean, what can you say about that? That was incredible. DiCaprio, I mean, up and coming. Led every single lap of the race. Colligan, again, penalties cost him. If he kept his nose clean, he would have won that race. But Jarno Opmeer, he knew what he needed to do, kept it between the lines, and the alternate strategy paid off for him. And Sven Zerner almost made a 2-stop work, but it didn't quite go his way. I mean, that race had literally everything, and I need a nap.
What a phenomenal broadcast, folks. I hope you all enjoyed that, because I certainly did. And indeed, it's going to be Jarno Opmeer taking the plaudits once again. I got to say, I'm absolutely delighted to see the contingent of drivers that we've got here today. It's been absolutely unbelievable. Been very impressed across the board. It's been absolutely unbelievable. I hope you've all enjoyed. Don't forget, of course, to like and subscribe to all the channels. Don't forget, we have got the big giveaway to announce the winner of the giveaway, should we say, at the end of this broadcast. So do stick around. It's going to be after the driver interview, so stay tuned, folks, because we're going to be announcing the winner of those headphones. Just waiting now, obviously, for the drivers to come into our comms box to join us for a driver interview. And please don't forget as well to cast your votes as well for driver of the day in the voting link down below. So make sure you use that straw poll. And Jack, I got to say, what does this mean for the championship? Jarno already has an exquisite lead in the race to the driver's title. And of course, a great advantage going in towards the team title. Is it fair to say that we're looking at season over? Is Jarno Opmeer going to be crowned the champion?
Well, considering he's about 6 rounds ahead of everybody, I think it's pretty much done, unless he gives up. But I don't think so. No, Jarno Opmeer, we're pretty certain, well, 100% certain that he's going to secure the title. It's just a case of what round he's going to do it at. Is it going to be next round? Is it going to be? Was it even today? We don't know. It's another win to add to the tally. We have actually now standing by. Tomek Peradzik is actually waiting to talk to us. I'm going to drag him in here, George.
Yeah, let's bring in Tomek Peradzik. Of course, Tomek, welcome back after an impeccable drive there, Tomek. Obviously, a very extraordinary race. Strategy was differing all across the grid. Just talk us through that, because I got to say, we could not make head or tail of who was on the best strategy, because the race was decided on penalties towards the end, but the winner was a lot different to what we were seeing on circuit. Just talk us through that race. It was absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, it was. I had a lot of adventures during this race, not gonna lie. It started off with a very messy first stint where I got spun early on, so I decided to, and then I got stuck in a big train. I was losing like a good second per lap behind the guys, so I decided to undercut, go into mediums again, and then try to go long on them so I can put softs at the end. That kind of worked out. I managed to get past most of them. Then I got past the hard runners quite quickly, and I was just trying to stay as consistent as possible. And I had Nicholas jeffing me throughout the race, so he told me that he kept telling me people are getting penalties left, right, and center. I was only on 1 warning, so I knew there's still hope in the race despite the spin. And yeah, I just kind of made my way up the field. Quite a messy stint on the softs. I got stuck behind zones and one more driver somewhere. So that was a little bit unlucky. Lost a lot of time there. But at the end of the day, I took P4, the only driver not to get penalties. So pretty happy with that. Kind of want to think that without the first stint mess, I could have maybe took the win. But honestly, this race was just super fun, and even going into it, I just wanted to have fun. I wasn't getting as competitive as I usually would. So yeah, had an insanely fun race, and yeah, good to take 12 points after a race which seemed like it was going to nowhere after the first stint.
It definitely looked like it was starting off with a big negative, obviously, after your spin, which definitely put you at a disadvantage of sorts. But what a climb back to P4. Well, we noticed that the cloud cover was starting to come across. Did you ever think that there might be a little bit of rain coming down? Because obviously I know we didn't, but it looked like that the clouds were coming in and we were going to be having a bit of a shower.
Yeah, I mean, it did seem like it. I was like, oh, is it gonna rain? But a couple questions to the in-game engineer, and yeah, he said no rain expected. So it just went overcast, and then it kind of got sunny at the end as well. So yeah, there was just the little thought that maybe, but yeah, the race engineer never disappoints with giving me the correct information, and there you go.
Well, I got to say, Tomek, a superb P4, and I'm sure that win is only just around the corner. A great improvement certainly has been seen from yourself. Obviously, better feelings, obviously, since Monaco, I can imagine.
Yeah.
We won't go into that, it's fine. But Tomek, congratulations on that P4, but a great race, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we move on to Hot Lapper, Jarno Watmere. Jarno, how are you doing? I'll call you Flying Dutchman, I swear. Sorry, I didn't mean that.
Don't call me that, please.
You've hit a nerve.
Yeah. Jarno has left the comms box, folks, in anger. No, he is here. Jarno, talk us through that. What a win, bet. Did you ever think you were going to take that? I mean, obviously the penalties decided it at the end. A huge cluster of strategies were used throughout that race. But did you ever think that you'd get that P1 result?
Yeah, if I was going to get P1, it was on penalties, because I don't know what those hard tires were, but they were just completely shit. I don't know what it
Lay
was.
it on the line, man. Lay it on the line.
That was the worst experience of my life in any race car. But yeah.
Yeah, what was going on? What was going on at the start? Because of course you came out the line. It looked like Ben Szabo got a hell of a start. He literally catapulted his way forward by a second within 3 corners. But it just seemed you were getting swallowed up by the track behind. Were those hards really devastating at Canada? Do they just not keep well with the track?
Yeah, I think what Matthias and Sven did, the medium soft was the best, because those hards were just so incredibly slow, and it was not like the tire wear was a lot better than on the mediums as well. So yeah, it was just a very bad strategy in the end, but I'm happy to get that win. So yeah.
I can imagine, obviously, better feelings, obviously, because remember last season, of course, we had the Canadian Grand Prix. You had that unfortunate incident with Arsene Kardinov. How does it feel now to sort of secret or get redemption now and actually take victory at Canada? You must feel like old feelings now have been buried and you can now, crack on and take your win at Canada and say, yes, I've done it.
Yeah, it was just I didn't practice a lot for it because obviously I had esports last week. I was trying to take a few days off before we start again. So yeah, I'm happy to take the win with little practice and a bad strategy. But I think penalties was the main thing today.
Yeah, and talk us through, obviously, the F1 esports event. A great start from you guys at Sauber. Obviously puts you in in with a great start into the series. Just talk us through now as to your feelings to the rest of the series. How is the camp? How is the Sauber camp right now? Brimming with confidence? Are we looking to see more red and white liveries on the top step of the podium?
Yeah, I hope so. I think the tracks coming up are very good for us. Some of my favorite tracks coming up, and especially after event 1, I'm very happy to lead, considering I felt I wasn't super strong going into the first event compared to my teammates on those tracks. Yeah, with the tracks coming up, I'm very confident we can fight to maintain or even extend the lead. Obviously, esports is incredibly close, so you never know. It's very easy to not get through to Q1 or onto Q2 because you want to do it in as minimal tire sets possible. So yeah, it's very easy to make a mistake and not go onto Q2 like Dani had, for example, in Vietnam, because simply the field is so incredibly close that it's just very, very hard.
how are you finding the adaptations as well with the new changes in qualifying and the new race distance as well? Because of course it's going over. Is it 35% now? The current distance is that?
Yeah, it's 35%. I think both qualifying and race, it adds a bit of strategy. More different things possible. Also in quali, using the tires, it's very interesting. You want to go onto Q2 with only one set of tire used, but that's not always possible. So yeah, it adds a lot of strategy, so I like it.
It's good to see, and certainly it makes good viewing as well for us at home. I know I was watching it with bated breath from my sofa, and I really did enjoy it. It was absolutely brilliant to see. But I got to say, we're looking forward to the rest of the season, of course. So I'd like to say we wish you all the very best of luck, of course, going through to the Pro Series. And obviously you've got ORL's full support as well. So very best of luck going forward, Jarno.
Yeah, thank you, man.
This one. So Jack, another great race, but I think before we end, we have got the HyperX giveaway to do. So I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to find out who the winner is. So let's not rush just yet. We're just waiting for a message now off the leading man at ORL. And in fact, actually, we've got a special guest in the caster booth box. We've just had a special guest join us. We'll just talk to this man. Ifan Yuan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you indeed. Yes, welcome to the ORL caster booth. I got to say, first time we've seen you or spoken to you in this series, of course, amalgamating yourself from the Chinese esports side of things. Just talk us through it. And have you seen any major differences between that of the China setup compared to the European one?
Yeah, firstly, thanks for the chance for me to join the ORL League. And honestly, the biggest difference I think is between the level and the pace for us Chinese drivers and the esports drivers. There's still a long way for us to go to find that pace so we can compete with those esports guys, but there's a long way. So, but anyway, yeah, for me, joining this race, considering on the time differences, it's already 4 a.m. here, so literally after finished my first day, I already feel very sleepy. So yeah, it's really bad experience for me, just for driving. But firstly, competing, finished my ORL first debut is a really good experience. Yeah.
Well, you got to start somewhere. I'd imagine you going to be smashing the Red Bull energy drinks to get yourself through these events going forward.
Yeah, I must go some sleep now.
Yeah. Good man. Well, I got to say, it's great to see. Just talk us through the Chinese esports side of things. I mean, how big are those events? I mean, just talk, because I know obviously gaming in the Asian countries is massive. But just talk us through esports over there. I mean, just how big is it?
In China this year, we have our own esports China Championship League racing, and yeah, recent years has developed massively over recent years. But as I said, there's still a long way for us to go to find that pace. It's a long way, not only for our two pro draft drivers, me and Tan, but also for the rest of all other Chinese drivers.
Well, it's great to see the Chinese contingent coming through here. I just want to say, great to see you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. It was a great race.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll see you again soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Good man. That's
Thank you.
Thank you, Ifan. That's Ifan Yuan. Yeah, goodbye, Ifan. Yeah, great to see Ifan Yuan joining us as well in this race here today. Jack, of course, now we'll hopefully await the draw. We did see that Ruben Vallejo joined us in the caster booth, but I think he's just had to drop out. We're just going to wait and see if we get the winner of the actual prize draw. So let's wait and see if we can get the word from our man at ORL. We just got a small delay while we work it through. We've got a couple more minutes to go through, folks. So I tell you what, Jack, why don't we come across and give our summary of the esports situation? What was your view on the early coverage?
I'm assuming we're talking about F1 esports.
We
I've
are
kinda
indeed.
zoned out.
Yes, we are. Don't fall
Yeah.
asleep, Jack.
No, honestly, I think this is one of the best. Even in the early, we've only had 3 opening races, but so far, I think this is possibly the best and most competitive F1 esports that we've seen so far. I mean, if you've seen that qualifying, we had, I think, what was it, 6 drivers in under a tenth of a second in qualifying Q3, something ridiculous like that, and literally anybody out of that entire field could be a potential champion, which is something fantastic. I love the change to the qualifying format. I must say, Q1, Q2, Q3 really brings in strategy, as Jarno said. 35% races as well, brilliant, and the coverage as well. Having Alex Jakes joining in as well, that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Alex Jakes, of course, he's being pretty much, I suppose, prepared, I think, for F1 helmship when he gets to that point. I mean, it's great and exciting to see him in that comms box, and we love to see him there. Of course, looking at the quality of the drivers as well. I mean, it was interesting to see Nicholas Longay at the top end as well for the Vietnam Grand Prix and getting 2 pole positions in the first couple of events. That was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. It showed like he really has the raw pace, but he did get a bit unlucky as well in some of the races. You know, he really does have a lot of speed in him. All of these drivers have a lot of speed, but Longue is showing a lot of promise. We saw it here in ORL when he won in Vietnam on his first race here. That's obviously something special. You don't do that with luck involved, of course. But yeah, Longue is looking strong. As well, obviously, Jarno's really strong. Daniel Berezne as well. I mean, if you've watched the streams, okay, you'll understand. Danny Berezne's braking gives me anxiety. How hard he presses the brake pedal.
Yeah. Do you think there's actually a wall on the other side of that brake pedal, or has he just put his foot right through it?
What I imagine is that there's genuinely a hole in the wall from the pedal. It's just gone straight through the.
Is there a pedal there anymore? We just don't know.
I don't know. Really don't know.
I mean, I'm not sure whether you all saw it. Of course, there was that GIF being shared around on Twitter with that Danny Berezne's braking. Just slams the pedal as this girl doing her makeup. It was one of the best things I've ever seen. And all of a sudden, an earthquake erupts inside her house after Danny Berezne slams that brake pedal, absolutely magnified the magnitude of an earthquake in that house. It was quite a funny gif. I thought it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I gave it a thumbs up and a like as well. But obviously, going into the Pro Series, Sauber looking very strong. Is there any other team that really does sort of stand out for you at all, Jack?
Well, obviously Renault very strong, Longue and Donoso, and of course Casper Janssen. McLaren looking nice and in there too, with James Baldwin. Dan Renault again got a bit unlucky, but Baldwin was looking fast in Shanghai. Of course, remember ORL, he got pole in Shanghai, so he's still as quick as ever. But outside of that, every team is almost competitive at this point. But certainly, I think out of the constructors, I think it's going to be between, of course, Alfa Romeo, McLaren, if they can get themselves a little bit further up the grid. Mercedes looking very good as well. I must say, Brendan Lee's still right in there. That like he's been in every single esport so far, and it's still impressive to see that he's still up there and fighting. You know.
Yeah, he's not down and out as people think he is. I mean, we get a lot of a word around the, I suppose you could call it the paddock, should we say, the paddock of esports, saying putting doubts in the mind of people who support Brendan Lee. But of course, he's still there. He was battling up there in the top 10. I think if you're up in the top 10 and you're still fighting within that very minor tenth of a second gap, because that was literally the gaps between a lot of these drivers was 1/10 of a second, which was unbelievable. It just goes to show the raw talent and pace of these drivers. Absolutely unreal. But Brendan Lee's still up there and still challenging. I think all it takes is just for a few results to go his way. He might be in a little bit of a rut. I think he's tried to change things up as well. He's had a seat mold made, obviously. He's trying to do everything he can to improve his performance. I mean, that's what you've got to do if you want to compete at the top level. Would it be out of order me saying that Brendan Lee could yet pick up another win this season?
I don't think so. I think he's certainly got it in him, but it's like the competitiveness of the field is something it's not really been seen before, because in in the season number 1, it was a 2-horse race between Donoso and Lee, and then obviously when you came to last year's one, obviously Tanitsa, there was a lot more race winners, but Tanitsa was the most consistent. Literally anybody can take it right now, and even with that and the competitiveness of everything, Brendan Lee is still in there, as is Fabrizio Donoso. Donoso's has had a year away, and he's still come back and still as quick as ever. Donoso. So there's a lot to be said. One of my favorite moments actually from F1 Esports was Daniele Haddad when he got through to Q3.
Yeah.
And the
That
camera
passion,
on him,
wasn't it?
and
The
him
passion.
the Italian passion, like screaming his lungs out, getting through in P10 and in Q3. As well, actually reminding me of Racing Point. Lucas Blakely, very impressive.
Yeah. And he flew as well.
He did. He flew upside down, literally. Yeah. If anybody's seen that clip, I'm sure you have, of Vietnam, Lucas Blakely somehow ended up flipping upside down in turn 2, I believe it was. He got ridden up on the wall and then flipped upside down. But outside of that, Blakely is very quick, and he's right in there as well. But it is nice to see the ORL drivers doing well in F1 esports as well, and I love to see like the proper battles that are going on with Tanitsa, Otmir, Berezne, everybody involved. But it is still nice to see that Tanitsa is still as quick as ever, and impressively, Enzo Benito, great teammate for Tanitsa because he's just as quick as him.
Yeah, he was incredible, wasn't he? I mean, there was that battle that he had. I can't remember where it was though, but he was up there. I think it was China, was it? Chinese Grand Prix that Benito was up there fighting.
Yeah, it was, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was China, and I got to say they were very impressive. I think then didn't the two Ferraris dip out? There was like a crash or something, like a net crash.
Oh yeah, both of them disconnected at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, a real hammer blow there for Ferrari. I mean, of course, Tanitsa came into it in reasonable shape, and it looked like that Ferrari were on for a positive result. Then all of a sudden, both drivers crashing out, obviously due to maybe a network error at headquarters or something, because obviously everything's done online now. Obviously not a LAN network situation like they would have at the Gfinity Arena, but of course having to cope with circumstances when you're on a server, it becomes a very different and daunting prospect. Of course, we see it all the time in ORL. Obviously, little incidents happen, here at times in ORL where you see drivers disconnecting and rejoining. And of course, when it comes to F1 esports, it's so highly intense under pressure. You've really got to try and do your utmost. And not only have you got to do your utmost, but you need to ensure that your equipment is stable, your net connection stable. So many variables now this season. And because there's such a big prize on offer, it makes it that much more intense. And you need to ensure that you're working, well, everything's working to its highest functionality and potential as well. I mean, obviously now looking at the other drivers at Mercedes, of course, Bono Huis back in the seat as well for the Silver Arrows. I mean, what do you make of that? Of course, I know Bono's competed across many realms of sim racing and esports, but great to see him back in the Mercedes car.
Yeah, Bono Huis is one of the most respected sim racers out there. He's quick on everything, is Bono Huis. So it is nice to see him in the car. He was, of course, replaced by Barry Burmond in Shanghai because he was feeling unwell, Bono. So hopefully we'll see him back in the car shortly as well. Two other drivers that impressed me, Marcel Kiefer and Joni Tormola.
Oh, Joni Tormola, phenomenal efforts as well. Marcel Kiefer as well. That battle towards the end of China was absolutely exhilarating. And of course, Jana Watme would take another victory, of course. But nonetheless, a phenomenal battle towards the end. It was between four drivers. Alvaro Caraton as well improving. I actually quoted it in the chat. And somebody asked me, I think it was Jess Games, in fact, said, George, who's your prediction for this Chinese Grand Prix? And I said two drivers' names. That was Jana Watme and Alvaro Caraton. Because if you remember, Jack, we had the Chinese Grand Prix not so long ago, and it was Alvaro Caraton last year, I think it might have been before you joined, that actually took the race and won it by a clear advantage. He motored ahead, and he just seemed to suit that track of China. Once again, he looked impressive in the Esports Pro Series, which, I had a little sneaking suspicion he would take the advantage there. I mean, just looking at Alvaro these days, he looks like he's got a little bit of grit between his teeth. Maybe there's a new side to Alvaro Caraton that we could be seeing this season. What do you make of Williams heading into the Pro Series?
Yeah, Alvaro is very, very strong. We saw, obviously, teammate Sally Salthunk got knocked out in Q1 in Shanghai, and Caraton managed to put it in 5th in Q1. And I remember in Q3, and I remember Sally saying that Caraton is driving the wheels off that car to get it into Q3. So Caraton is impressive. it's just it doesn't quite seem to have the setup under him. He said that they're searching for something that the other teams have that they don't. But Carroton is a hell of a peddler when he's got a serious equipment under him and a good setup under him. But I'm just looking in the YouTube chat. I believe the winner has been picked, George.
Yeah, we're just waiting for confirmation our end as to who it's going to be. I've just dropped a little note over to our guys at ORL. We're going to find out who this winner is, folks, for this pair of HyperX headphones, of course. The prize giveaway. Of course, HyperX, a very, very good sponsor, a very good partner of ORL. Make sure you check them out as well, like all the socials. Got to say, I had these recently. HyperX very kindly sent me a pair for my streams, and I got to say, the most comfortable and the quality on them is unreal and unmatched. I'm very lucky, and I got to say, they're a pleasure to use. And I got to say, whoever the winner is, you're going to really enjoy them, because I certainly do. We're just waiting to hear now from the big bosses at ORL as to who has won this giveaway. Very soon I will get confirmation, and we can let you know who it is. Do bear with us, folks. Stay with us. Stay with us.
Yeah, this is the mark. I have done stuff like this before where you're waiting for a giveaway and we've run out of filler. Sorry.
It's okay. I have the answer, Jack. I can confirm I have the winner. I have the winner. Shall I announce it?
Drum roll, please.
Shall I? That's it, Jack. The winner of a pair of HyperX Cloud Alpha S headsets. It's Camel Come On! Camel Come On is your winner.
You're joking.
Camel Come On. Yes, I'm not. No, I'm not joking. I knew you said yes, I am joking. No, Camel Come On is the winner of the pair of HyperX Cloud Alpha S headphones. So congratulations, Camel. A pair of these are on their way to you, my friend. Congratulations indeed. It are in order. And that's our first giveaway here at ORL and for HyperX. So congratulations to Camel Come On. A pair will be heading your way. Make sure you get in contact with the admins at ORL to send your details. But what a race, folks. Absolutely unreal. Jack, it's been a pleasure, isn't it?
Oh, it always is. I'm already looking forward to the next race and see what other surprises can crop up as a result. But it's certainly helping pass the time over here on Sundays, because believe it or not, one thing about Germany, okay, don't get offended, everything shuts on Sunday and it's a real pain. So at least ORL gives me something really exciting to finish off my week with.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's always a pleasure to be in the combox with you, Jack, certainly. And I like to think that we've got the sort of chuckle vision type of camaraderie going on here. I'll be Paul. You can be Barry. But no, a phenomenal race here today, folks. I hope you all enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure calling it for you today. For me and Jack as well. Please don't forget to like the socials. You can check me out on Twitter as well, CRG Geo, and as well as Jack C Comms. Make sure you give him a like as well. Drop him a little cheeky comment as well. He doesn't mind as well. Don't forget to check out ORL as well. Be sure to like the socials. That being Twitter. You can check them out on Twitter, and not by checking out team_ORL. And don't forget to smash a like on and a subscribe, shall I say, to this video, and also to the YouTube channel as well. And we'll look forward to seeing you in the near future. Don't forget to also like and subscribe to HyperX. It's been an absolute pleasure calling the race for you today. What a win here today for Jarno Watmere at the very death of things. The penalties decided it, but the Flying Dutchman scores again. It's been a pleasure. Goodbye.